Guys, sometimes it's okay to admit when a celebrity needs to be left in the past. Regardless of the reasons, today's Where Are They Now is counting down 10 stars who need to be forgotten in 2023. I'm your host Michaela, let's get into it. Taking our 10th spot is Kanye West. Of course, Kanye's name has been on the tip of everybody's tongue in Hollywood throughout the majority of his career, but most especially now. It seems he attracts a lot of negative energy that people just aren't here for. From his VMAs stemmed beef with Taylor Swift to him being dropped from every brand deal he's owned today, it seems Kanye just can't catch a break, and rightfully so, because everything that spills out of his mouth seems to cause more and more problems. Overall, in a summarized version, Adidas was the latest brand to issue a public statement regarding the termination of their partnership with the rapper for his offensive public statements about all races, communities, and groups over the course of the last year, specifically towards Jewish people. It wasn't long after Kanye's hostile and discriminative comments were made that the sports athleisure brand finally put their foot down. However, Kanye was also personally beefing with the sports apparel company over the summer after accusing Adidas of stealing his Yeezy slide design and later implementing them into their then newest slides, Adilet 22. On top of Adidas, Balenciaga was another brand who severed their ties with Kanye in light of his several issues. And this wasn't even the half of it. It's truly impossible to list off every single thing Kanye's done in this year alone. However, just know it was horrible enough to have his social media accounts blocked on several occasions. Before we jump into number 9, smash the like button on this video to help our channel grow. Taking our 9th spot is Candace Owens. Candace, much like Kanye, has been super problematic over the last year. Ironically enough, Kanye also plays a miniature hand in her very public issues. Former news reports exposed Candace for one of her biggest scandals yet, personally pocketing money from donations from her organization Blexit, apparently. The accused organization is a, quote, group that encourages black people to leave the Democratic Party. A Daily Beast review dug up evidence which suggested that the funds the organization was given for donations was being awarded to Candace through paydays rather than fulfilling the vision it promised to see through as stated on the site. The report was released mere days after all evidence led to Candace rumoredly using Kanye as another way to financially advance, and thus assisted in his downfall. In a little under a month, Candace allegedly teamed up with the rapper to wreak public havoc with their White Lives Matter shirts, which was supposedly the opening act of Kanye's prejudice scandal and major loss in money due to backlash. Many argue this public display was Kanye's path to buying the, quote, right-wing Parler social media platform run by Candace's husband. Alongside all of that, Candace was also rejected by the Supreme Court for claiming the US should, quote, invade Australia, spoke against Australia's health and safety protocols by stating their citizens were being held against their wills, knocking off iPhone's brand by using a similar but more expensive model called Freedom Phone, and so much more. We'd genuinely be here forever if I ran through every single one of her issues, so for lack of better words, she seriously needs to be cleared of all 2023 public interactions. Taking our 8th spot is James Corden. As much as I enjoyed James on the screen in my slightly younger years, it seems the world has now grown a mutual dislike for him that I can't quite blame them for. With all the craziness surrounding him this year specifically, it's no wonder he's been called out left, right, and center. It seems the public is no longer in the dark about his supposed true colors, one of which was speculated through his semi-recent New York City restaurant scandal. According to media statements and witnesses, James was publicly put on blast for his reportedly aggressive behavior. Since this, Twitter and TikTok users all began flooding social media timelines with more crazy stories about James and his behavior. There are even some which are surprisingly detailed and broken down to a T. James hasn't really recovered in the eyes of the public since, which means he may just be left a cancelled man in 2022 after all. Taking our 7th spot is James Franco. For obvious reasons, the public absolutely despises James, and again, for valid reasons. The actor has reportedly used his position of power to physically exploit and, quote, allegedly, this exact occurrence took place in 2019, and since, 5 additional women stepped forward to hurl intense accusations at James. His latest TV appearance was for HBO's The Deuce, where he was given permission by both the producer and director to remain in his role despite the public scandal attached to him. Still, this didn't stop the GP from canceling James entirely, and even his longtime buddy and co-actor, Seth Rogan, dropped him at the tip of a hat. This public display has shown that Seth has zero intentions to continue working with James, and even though James has returned to the screen, his starlight has definitely dimmed thanks to his past being dug up and blasted. Taking our 6th spot is Joe Rogan. To be honest, I'm surprised this guy is still on air with the Joe Rogan Experience after all the controversy I've heard about him. The host has faced mass criticism in the last few months, in particular for bringing on 2 specific guests, Dr. Robert Malone and Dr. Peter McCullough. who critics had a field day with because of their many reaches regarding unprecedented times. Now, Joe has had shots taken at him for his choice of guests before, and it can even be argued that this is becoming a part of his overall brand, but it still doesn't make it okay in the eyes of most. The Doctor's special wouldn't even be the first time Joe brought on controversial speakers to spread misinformation. Regular Canadian clinic psychologist Jordan Peterson made his most recent appearance on the show and lit up controversy across the board when he claimed climate was non-existent. Then there was Edward Snowden, the person responsible for leaking classified National Security Agency information in 2013. And let's not forget Alex Jones, the problematic conspiracy theorist who's done enough damage in his time to last a lifetime, touching on sensitive topics like the former US President and Kim Jong-un, disrespectful Sandy Hook conspiracy theories, animal-human hybrids, aliens, and then some. This list truly doesn't end, but to save time, we are. Taking our 5th spot is Ezra Miller. Ezra of the Flash franchise has appeared in the DC Extended Universe a notable amount of times. However, since it seems all of their dirty laundry has been aired out in the form of legal woes. In April, Yahoo published an article breaking down every detail of it, and trust me, it's pretty messy. It all started in 2020 when Ezra was rumoredly captured on video appearing to choke a woman in an Iceland bar. From this point, Ezra's infamously problematic ways sparked rumored physical violence-related arrests in Hawaii, burglary of their neighbors' homes, and arguably the worst of all offenses, reported kidnapping and endangering of a woman and her young family, and serious allegations of with a minor. These spiraling incidents worried the public enough to wonder about the actor's future, but it seems Ezra won't be slowing their roll anytime soon. Something is worryingly nagging at me that we may just see more of them in 2023, however. Taking our 4th spot is Ned Fulmer. It seems Hollywood is already starting to forget about Ned and his infidelous ways after he cheated on his wife Ariel with his employee Alexandra Herring. However, it wouldn't be right in 2020 if we didn't reel this one back in to discuss, because quite frankly, it was one of the biggest scandals to drop this year. Anyway, the original issue came to light when reports of images and videos, first taken off of Reddit, showed Ned in a club behaving in an inappropriate manner with a female that was not his wife, later identified as Alex. Their affair was ongoing while Ned was married to the interior designer and Alex was engaged to her since ex. Social media inspectors dug deep to find out everything about Alex, and she was soon exposed as being a working employee under Ned. As for the former Try Guy, he's kept a fairly low profile ever since last being spotted with Ariel, and I feel pretty bad for hoping it stays that way next year. Taking our 3rd spot is Amber Heard. Of course, a Leave 'em Behind list wouldn't be complete without the poster woman of 2022 controversy. Everybody I've encountered on the topic of Amber is simply over her, mainly because she's still fighting against her ex-husband Johnny Depp, even now over countersuits. As if their messy and dragged out original legal battle wasn't enough to make the world turn against her. No matter where you stand on the issue, you simply cannot deny that Amber should take an extensive social media break to maybe put some space between her and all these crazy headlines. Amber has faced countless hateful posts ever since the first accusations against Johnny were released. The actress even shut off comments on her Instagram after over 300,000 petitioners rallied together to take her out of Aquaman 2. Hate aside, Amber continued posting on social media, meaning she has not stepped down from her IG and Twitter as everybody hoped. However, she has limited her interactions with her followers by a lot. Overall, the internet turned on her with grand distaste because she's damaged Johnny's career so heavily for her own benefit, in simpler words of the public. Taking our 2nd spot is J.K. Rowling. To be honest, there's no trying to over-explain this next one. Simply put, the Harry Potter creative went directly against the LGBTQ+ community, a group who are progressively attempting to be accepted by the public and acknowledged overall, when she publicly supported a transphobic woman. The woman J.K. was in support of straightforwardly tweeted, "Men cannot change into women." Obviously, this is not acceptable in current times, especially as society continues to push for creating safe spaces for the LGBTQ+ community. Ever since this issue came about, die-hard HP fans have turned over their wizarding cards, and some even had their fantasy franchise-inspired tattoos removed. Taking our 1st spot is Ellen DeGeneres. Simply put, Ellen has been labeled as a real-life mean girl. According to reports, Ellen lives a rather two-faced life, one of her sweeter on-air personality, and another of her alleged true colors. Accusations about the host began swirling, with most detailing that Ellen is rude, pushy, enforces weirdly strict rules and regulations for her staff, is bossy and racist, and enjoys shaming people amongst other things. And if you thought all that was bad, don't even get me started on the apparent incident of Ellen unapologetically fat-shaming 11-year-old Ben Gravelette at 20 years old. Obviously, this host has done a lot of wrongdoing in her days, so it's understandable as to why she was cancelled and remains as such now in the first place. That's been today's WATN. Thanks for watching, friends!